This is the legendary creature known only as the Whispering Stag, and if you see it in the wild, you better listen very carefully to what it's trying to tell you. Welcome back, everyone. I make creepypasta games and other horror-related stuff. Now this all started when my team was brainstorming ideas for a new creature to add to our world. We wanted something mysterious, maybe even a little unsettling, but still tied to nature. So we came up with the Whispering Stag, a cryptid that stalks the foggy forests of Mistwood, and only appears on nights where the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. Now, because we made this guy for a game, we had to think about how he would actually fit into the lore and the story of the world. So here's what we came up with. The stag was once a noble stag who roamed the enchanted forest of Mistwood. He was loved by all the dryads and other creatures who called the woods home. But one day, a group of hunters entered the forest, and they were looking for a prize stag to bring back to the village. They didn't know it at the time, but the deer they killed wasn't just any ordinary animal. It was a powerful fey creature who had lived for hundreds of years. When the stag fell, a curse was placed upon him by the dryads. A curse that twisted his soul and turned him into a ghastly specter of his former self. Trapped between life and death, the stag now wanders the forest, forever seeking revenge against those who killed him. Since we already knew what the stag looked like from our concept art, the next step was bringing it to life with a 3D sculpt. Since I have no idea how to do that, I turned to the amazing artists over at ArtStation, and after a few revisions, we had a sculpt that was exactly what we had imagined. From there, we sent it off to be rigged and animated, and then finally textured and brought into our game engine. This is where things got really exciting, because we could now see the stag in the environment we had built and start figuring out lighting and particle effects. With some subtle fog and particles that match the color of the stag, we really sold the feeling of an otherworldly creature haunting the forest. The final thing we needed was the sound design to really sell the creature's otherworldly presence. So let me tell you about that. Creating the soundscape for the Whispering Stag was a unique challenge. The goal was to capture the essence of the creature's mournful spirit, while also giving it a touch of mystery and menace. To achieve this, we started by recording the sound of a heartbeat and manipulating it to create a deep, unsettling drone that serves as the base of the creature's audio presence. Overlaying this with the sound of whispering voices allowed us to create a sense of the stag's backstory and its sorrowful tale. By mixing in the sound of wind chimes, we were able to add a layer of ethereal beauty to the creature, hinting at its connection to the natural world. Finally, the inclusion of distant howls served to emphasize the stag's wild and untamed nature, reminding listeners of the danger that still lingers within. So now that we have the creature all set up in our game, let's talk about the game. So the first thing I want to mention is that the stag itself doesn't attack the player, but rather acts as a catalyst for a series of events that unfold in the game. When the player first encounters the stag, it will trigger a cutscene. Depending on the player's choices throughout the game, the stag may appear in different forms or behave differently. For example, the stag may appear as a ghostly apparition that fades away when approached, or as a shadowy beast that rears up on its hind legs and lets out a terrifying snarl. In addition to these visual cues, the stag's behavior can also signal the player about the overall mood and tone of the area. For example, if the stag is pacing back and forth anxiously, this could indicate that the player is being watched or stalked by another creature. If the stag lowers its head to the ground and begins to eat from the plants around it, this could suggest that the area is safe and that the player can explore freely. Overall, the stag acts as a constant companion to the player throughout their journey, guiding them and warning them of the dangers that lie ahead. And speaking of dangers, the stag's appearance also triggers a number of traps and other creatures in the area. For example, the stag's hooves may trigger a series of spikes hidden beneath the ground, forcing the player to jump over them. Or the stag's presence may cause nearby trees to come alive and attack the player. These traps and creatures act as obstacles that the player must overcome in order to progress further into the game. However, by understanding the stag's behavior and learning to read the signs it gives, the player can avoid many of these dangers and make their way through the game more. We're getting pretty close to finishing this game now. So I hope you're enjoying the videos we've been making on the stag, because we'll be releasing the full game very soon. So now that you know all the details on the stag, let's take a look at the full concept art we created for it. Starting off, we have the front view of the stag, which really shows off the detail on its antlers. Speaking of those antlers, here's a closer up. Look at them. As you can see, they are covered in glowing moss, and the vines intertwine through them, giving the impression that they've been fused together by nature itself. Here's a side view of the stag showing off its ghostly white fur, which almost looks transparent, allowing you to see the mist and fog swirling around it. And finally, here's a rear view, which shows the stag's haunch and the way the moss and vines grow along its back. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and let me show you a little something. As a reward, this here is a short animation we put together for the stag. It was made with the intention of being used as a teaser for the game, but it might be a little too scary for some people. so viewer discretion is advised. Basically, you're seeing the stag from the perspective of a deer caught in its headlights. The stag slowly approaches, and as it gets closer, you hear the sound of its heartbeat, along with its haunting whispers. As it finally reaches the edge of the screen, you get a glimpse of its glowing eyes and antlers. Before everything fades to black, now I don't know about you, but this whole stag situation has me feeling a little spooky. So let's take a break and play some games. Now this first one is an oldie but a goodie. It's a game called Slender. The 8 pages. You find yourself in a dark and isolated forest trying to collect 8 pages scattered around the woods. But you're not alone. The forest is haunted by a mysterious and unsettling entity known as the Slender Man, who will try to stop you at all costs. As you progress through the game, the pages you collect will reveal more and more about the dark history of the forest and the sinister nature of the Slender Man. Can you stay sane and survive the night? Or will you fall victim to the darkness that surrounds you? Now this next one is called Dissension. Set in an abandoned school, you must navigate through a series of dark and creepy hallways while avoiding the ghosts of students and teachers who haunt the building. But that's not all. The school is also guarded by a terrifying creature known as the Jailer, who will stop at nothing to keep you from leaving. As you explore the school, you'll uncover the dark secrets of its past and learn about the tragedy that befell its inhabitants. Can you uncover the truth and escape the school alive? Or will you become another victim of detention? Finally, we have a game called Layers of Fear. You play as a painter who returns to his old house, only to find that it has been transformed into a twisted and terrifying labyrinth. As you explore the house, you'll encounter a variety of disturbing sights and sounds that will test your sanity and challenge your perception of reality. But that's not all. The house is also inhabited by a malevolent spirit who will try to drive you to madness. Can you resist the darkness and uncover the secrets of your past? Or will you succumb to the madness that awaits you inside the house? So which game will you choose? If you need any help finding them, I've added links to each one below. Also, if you want to support us and get early access to our games, consider joining our community. But that's all I have for you today. So until next time, happy hunting.